Hey, what's going on, dudes? My name is MrRhexx, and we are back with some more Elder Scrolls Skyrim. On the last episode, we decided that we were going to be doing Malakath's Daedric quest, but to do that, we have to make it into an orc settlement. And the orc settlement has a bunch of different locations in between the settlement and Riften, which was our fast travel point at the time. So we've basically been going south of Riften and doing everything that we can. And yeah, we did a few things last time and it was a lot of fun, and today we're going to be continuing to do so, which will mean that we're going to be doing the quest Repentance, the quest that will have us go into the Darklight Tower. But before we get there, I do want to talk a little bit about my build, because I feel like I haven't really delved deeper into the build as far as letting you guys know what it truly is. I told you guys before that I was going for a dual wielding style of build with a lot of focus on conjuration, but I want to talk a little bit about what is the goal of the build and what we intend to do, what spells we want to get, and all that good stuff. What I have done is I have actually bought a few spell books. Not in here, I've actually already learned them. You'll see that our repertoire is actually a little bit fuller. We got ourselves the Conjure Frost Atronak, we got the Bound Bow, but specifically because last episode we could have actually used the bow to escape a trap, and we didn't have it, so I thought it would be probably good to have. And then we also got Revenant, because 2 episodes ago, actually 3 episodes ago, if I count this one, we tried to revive one of the afflicted in the Periates Daedric quest, and we couldn't because our level wasn't enough for the Race Zombie ability, so we also got that. Now, these spells I got from Morthal. There's a shop in Morthal that sells the books. I believe Isfalion is the name of the guy. So nothing particularly exciting there. We just went to Morthal and bought the spells. I figured that updating them would be kind of nice. The goal for our magic here, specifically for conjuration, would be to get the Conjure Dremora Lord. That's gonna be probably the main spell that we will be using for the rest of the game, unless I want to, you know, mix it up a bit and use some of the fancy DLC conjure spells. But the problem with the Conjure Dremora Lord is that we can only get that, I mean, outside of like random chests and loot and all that, we can only get it in the College of Winterhold location. We have to talk to Finis Jester, which is the conjuration master of the school. He actually sells the book. But that would mean that we would have to do the quest, basically, to get to that point. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to start it unless you guys actually vote for doing the College of Winterhold. So we're going to be basically just waiting until we do that before we get the spell. So up until then, we're going to be rocking the... I have to set it up here. We're going to be rocking the Frost Atronak, which should be fine. Certainly should be a lot stronger than the Fire Atronak, mostly because this guy can actually... Hello there. Can actually tank people. Unlike the Fire Atronak, which just kind of fires things from far away. But now the build focused on using bound weapons. Now, the reason that I used bound weapons was because, well, originally I was playing this game on the on Master's difficulty, I believe, either that or Legendary. I'm not sure yet. Some of you have been telling me that we were playing on Legendary, and I do plan on increasing the difficulty of the game once I sort of get back on this groove. But the reason that I like bound weapons is not just because they happen to be particularly good at leveling conjuration, because they're pretty cheap and you basically get to use them every single encounter, but they're actually pretty strong. So for those of you who do not know, conjured, the bound sword is essentially a replica of a Daedric sword. Only in look, because the Daedric sword, I believe, has a base damage of about 14 without like any buffs or anything like that, and the bound sword has a, I think it's a 7, so it's considerably weaker. However, if you get Mystic Binding, it makes it so that bound weapons do more damage. You actually get to increase the damage of your bound weapon sword by 5 points, so it makes it equivalent to the Daedric sword. which is crazy because bound weapon, sword, you can actually get from the very beginning of the game. So you're basically using a Daedric weapon from like level 5, which is typically a weapon that you're supposed to get by level 46. So you can sort of see the power there. Eventually, though, we'll want to sort of wean ourselves out of the bound weapons, mostly because you can't enchant them and you cannot improve them through smithing, so they sort of fall off at some point. Which is why, for boss battles, we've been using things like Dawnbreaker and the Oaken and the Educh, which we got from the Dark Brotherhood questline. But yeah, that's just kind of wanted to just lay that out there because I don't think I actually mentioned that before. What the goal is. Eventually, there's some really good one-handed weapons that we can get from the Dragonborn DLC. I would imagine that those would be the main weapons we would use once we get them. There's of course just normal Daedric weapons, which happen to be fairly powerful. There's also Chill Rend, which we get from the Thieves Guild. Once we get that, that's probably going to be the best weapon in the game, I would say. If we get Children, I don't remember what level it is, but if we are a certain level, because the weapon levels with you basically, if you get the weapon at level 30, the weapon will be at a certain power level, but if you get it at a level 40, then the weapon will be stronger. So if we get it at a certain level, we will actually be able to use the weapon for the rest of the game. So it depends really on what you guys vote for, what we end up doing after we do the Daedric quest, and that's going to basically define what weapons we use. And that's as far as weapons. As far as conjuration is concerned, that will basically depend on which DLC we do, because there's some very nice conjuration spells that we can get from Dawnguard. But it will also depend on whether you guys vote for the College of Winterhold or not, because that's where we would get some of the master level conjuration spells, and that's where we would get the Conjure Dremora Lord. So that's basically it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I've also decided that I'm going to be trying out a little bit of alteration magic just so that we can increase our defense a little bit. We might actually need that if we do plan on hitting legendary at some point. The goal today will be to do this quest over here and then increase the difficulty to master, hopefully using the companion that we get in here to kind of bolster our damage a little bit. But yeah, with that said, let's just start this up.
By the gods, I know this looks bad. Let me explain.
You killed that woman.
I didn't want to, but she attacked to try and keep me from leaving. I can't be a part of this place anymore. The things we do here, evil, evil things. No more!
Why did she need to die?
We were supposed to find a sacrifice. Human sacrifice. I told her I couldn't do it, and she attacked. I've done horrible things living here, but never taken an innocent life. I couldn't just find some person for them to kill.
And why would you need a sacrifice?
The initiation. My mother is going to become one of those things. I can't be a part of that. Gods, I can't run away from this. I have to stop her. I'm going up there to stop her. This cycle must end. I don't know what brought you here, but I could use your help if you're willing.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fine. I don't know what one of those things you mentioned are, but
Good.
I'm down.
Follow me. We have to fight our way up. I don't think anyone else here is about to have a change of heart.
So it seems like she's part of a coven of witches, and she ended up killing one of the witches, which helps us out a little bit. Now she's gonna wait for us, so we don't have to be like super quick about following her. She's gonna wait for us by the staircase. I wanted to just kind of very quickly go and just get this. I'm actually running out of carry weight, so not going to pick that up now. I'll let you guys know that I did go around and did a shopping trip, got myself a lot of healing potions, so hopefully we shouldn't have to worry about healing for at least a couple of more episodes. And if possible, if we have some time, we could be going back to that dragon that defeated us last episode. He was a little bit of a pain in the ass, so hopefully we can go and get him. Mostly because I need a dragon soul so that I can activate the Elemental Fury ability. Really kind of want it. if I can. Now, I'm pretty sure that Dawnbreaker at this point is probably stronger than the bound weapons would be. But I just want to keep on leveling Conjuration as much as possible. Now, after this quest, we actually get to use Ilya as our new companion, and she's particularly strong, as you can tell. She has some pretty powerful frost spells. Not particularly Icicle Spear, but the Ice Storm that she casts is definitely one of the strongest spells in the game. You guys probably have seen me almost die multiple times already, only on these last 3 episodes, just by enemies using that spell, so it's pretty bad. And let's see if there's anything that I can loot in here. Now, some of you have commented that you're a little shocked at the lack of mods that I have in the game. And, you know, I'll say the same thing that I said before when I first started. Oh, damn, she's good. It's really good. That spell is just fantastic. The Ice Storm one. But yeah, I'll say the same thing that I said. I'm pretty sure it might have been on the first episode. If not at least on one of the first ones. You know, this playthrough for me is... I guess in my head I see this playthrough as a little bit of a celebration of Skyrim, if that makes any sense. Like, I like the idea of going... My original idea for this Let's Play was just to go through the game and basically just talk about everything that we could find. Every single secret that we could find, all of the lore, all of the characters, try and just like... just really embrace the game and all of its factors, all of its features. And it felt like I was gonna have an easier time doing that if I just didn't modify the game at all, right? Like, if I just kept adding like new monsters, new textures, different NPC like interactions and behaviors, I felt like I was gonna ruin the integrity of the game, and you know, some of the things that I would say just wouldn't make sense if the characters were behaving in ways that they were not originally supposed to do, if that makes any sense. This door is interesting because you will actually not be able to open it during the entirety of this quest line. You cannot lockpick it, of course, it requires a key. The key is actually worn by Ilya, but she will refuse to give it to you until basically at the end of the quest line. So what you have to do is you have to finish the quest line and make sure that you use her as a companion, and then you can trade the key.
Hag Raven up ahead. Pull the lever when you're ready, and we'll take her.
And you can use that key to open that particular door. We'll do that after the after we finish the quest. It's like one of those kind of secrets. It's kind of weird because it's not particularly useful. There really isn't anything inside of that door other than just a few potions. Look at this. This is cool. We're gonna have to be a little bit careful here. Let's actually summon one of our new Atronics. I'm gonna remove this one from my favorites, put this one in here. I don't have the mana to dual cast it, so we're just gonna have to normal cast it. Should be fine. Thankfully, Ilya cannot die during this quest unless I specifically hit her, like many companions. So we don't have to worry too much about her. We don't really have AoE spells, so we should be fine. But yeah, in any case, we'll open the door. There's just a few potions inside. You will see what it is. It's just one of those weird secrets that you can find in this game that have like no meaning or value really whatsoever. But let's check this out. We are actually fighting some Hag Ravens. Hag Ravens, of course, being sort of like the ultimate form that a witch can take if allowed to use dark magics to reach this conclusion, basically. So Hag Ravens are this combination of sort of like a human and like dark magics and avian features. The ritual and how you actually turn into one of those creatures is not particularly known. We know that basically all we know about this transformation is what we actually get to see in this quest. And we get to see in this quest that they require a lot of skeevers, a human sacrifice, and you know, soul gems and death bells and that sort of thing. You can see that part of this ritual is seen here. There's like heads of goats and skeevers. There's eyes for whatever reason. They take the eyes out of these animals. We'll get a better chance of seeing this actually in play a little bit later. Those are taproots, which are sort of like the magical cores of the I'm blanking out. What's their names? The oh no, I'm just blanking out. Of the Spriggans, yes. Those are the magical cores of the Spriggans, and this doesn't necessarily mean that they are killing Spriggans and then using their cores for magic. This actually means that they're attracting Spriggans using their cores, because Spriggans are attracted to nature magic. So we believe that they're actually using this to attract more Spriggans in order to use the entirety of the Spriggan as a conduit for their dark magics. Mostly because Hag Ravens like hate nature, and they use, I guess they foul nature in order to propagate their spells. It's kind of weird, but we don't really know exactly how it works. Mostly because the Hag Ravens and the Forsworn, they venerate old gods that we don't really follow anymore in the contemporary sort of story of Elder Scrolls. They basically venerate old Edadas, old spirits, and funnel some of their powers to make themselves stronger, and we don't really know who those are. Some of them could very well just be Daedras, but yeah, you can see that they definitely hate a lot of nature. They sort of desecrate the idea of nature. That's the head of a Spriggan. You can see just everywhere how they just sort of foul different beasts, cut parts of their body, and just prostrate them everywhere for some reason. It's kind of nasty, really.
Huh?
Someone is here. Alright, we should make sure to actually summon another one of these, because it can get pretty tough here. You don't never really want to screw around with spellcasters much. But you can see that now that we're getting a stronger summoning in the form of a Frost Atronach, and now that we have a companion, the game is becoming a little bit easier, which means that it should be okay for us to start sort of upping the difficulty of the game.
Locked. Damn. One of the hags nearby will have the key. You'll have to take it from here. I'll keep watch here. Unless you can pick the lock.
So yeah, we have two options. We can pick the lock as a master lock, which of course is kind of difficult, or we can simply go over here and kill the Hag Raven that's located over through this door. You do want to actually come here, mostly if you can handle the Hag Raven, of course. Mostly because there's actually a master level chest located here. Jesus, that hurt. We should be fine though. Our bound weapons are actually pretty strong, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. I don't think there's really anything that they can give me other than the key that I would necessarily want, but what you really want is the master chest, not this one, but this one over here. Now let's see if I can actually make this happen. Now, I was asked 2 episodes ago, you guys were actually very curious about this. Is gonna take a while. Oh my god. You guys were curious about where I was getting my information when I said that the sun and the stars were actually holes punched by the Edada when they attempted to leave Mundus, once they realized that their power was being absorbed by the world, and it was all just sort of Lorcan's trick to fuel this plane. And I'll get to that as soon as I can. Stop just not being good at this. Is hard, man. This is really hard. Oh my god. Come on. I don't even know why I'm doing this. I don't need the money. After we did the Dark Brotherhood quest line, I haven't had money problems at all. There you go. You get 20k just by finishing the quest line. So you can see that that's basically what I've been rocking here. Weapons and armor can be improved. Okay, that's fine. We have the weight for that. That's no problem. But yeah, so specifically, Frederick Ingermarson, you said, how can we know for certain how the Elder Scrolls universe work? Like when you talked about how the stars are just holes in oblivion. Is this known in the same way humans knew during the Middle Ages? Is there anyone that says this? Any books that says this? Is there any explanation? And then Mirza Sahinkaya said, "Hey Rex, I know it's almost confirmed by everybody, but I don't think that the sun and the stars are really holes. I mean, is there actual proof of that? I mean, except from in-game books." See, that's the tricky thing, Mirza. Most of the, like, I would say, like, the vast majority of proof that you would find when you talk about those type of mythos answers, you will find them in books. I am not sure if there's really any form of proof outside of the books that would show you that the stars and the sun are actually holes. Other than, you know, like the magic that we can find in the game, but there's nothing particularly, like, direct that we would be able to find. Now, I do have one specific theory that I'm going to show you after we finish this quest that might be able to shed some light into this matter. Now, as far as Frederick, as you were asking about the books, this particular topic is interesting because a lot of the information that we have is actually based on books that are not, or rather lore that is not particularly found in-game, but through some of the developers from Elder Scrolls that have sort of divulged these factors outside of the games. Ooh, can pick this up. Nice, Sue. Can take a little bit of wine too. You know, there's a lot of developers that from Bethesda that work on the lore, and some of them have been very vocal outside of the games about the lore and how everything works, because, you know, people wonder about this sort of stuff.
Mother is just outside this door. I have a plan.
What is your plan?
I'll present you as the sacrifice. Just play along. While Mother begins the ritual, I'll strike. Then together we can kill her.
That sounds crazy. Okay.
I've thought this through, and it's the only way. She's too far gone, too corrupted by the hags. At least in death, she can be free again. Enough. Let's go.
It's kind of a silly tactic, and to be honest, you can just go in and kill the hag. There's actually no reason to do it Ilya's way, but we'll play along. Just for funsies, just to see the interaction between the two characters.
Greetings, Mother.
Daughter, who is this you have brought me?
I found a willing subject for you. Payment has already been discussed, of course.
Splendid. Please take a seat on the chair behind me, would you?
It's a quick save. Sure, let's do that. I should have chosen this. Okay.
I'll just prepare the subject now.
I can't let you do this, Mother. You have to die now.
Hello!
Now we can get up and fight. It's kind of silly. Again, you can just kill her instead of just going through all that trouble, but it's fun. Just fun times. Go ahead and do a little bit of healing. Ooh, she's consuming all of my stamina, which is dangerous, but there she is. And that is Sylvia. We'll get the loot.
Don't be sorry for me. If I would have known it would come to this. Mother.
It is done.
Keep Mother's staff. Think of it as payment. I want to leave everything from this cursed place behind. Goodbye. And thank you. Keep Mother's staff. Think of it as payment. I want to leave everything from this cursed place behind. Goodbye. And thank you.
No problem. Before she leaves, could you come with me?
I suppose it would be better than sitting around thinking about all this. I could also do some good for a change. Sure, I'd go with you.
All right.
Lead the way.
And now we have gotten a new follower, which we are going to be using at least for a while, probably at least until the next episode. Then I'll have you guys vote to see which follower we should actually use, which I think would be a great idea. I need to trade some things with you.
What do you want me to carry?
I need you to give me that sweet closet key. And you know what? I'll take those potions as well, because I'll be using them and you won't. Now, I'll show you guys what's actually on the other side of that door, because that's going to lead to, well, the next location. Let's pick up this. Oh, you can see that there's more sort of body parts that the hag was trying to use for the transformation. And also, I guess, the sacrificial chair what I would sit on, and the skeever head. I don't think it's supposed to have eyes, mostly just because, like, you can see the eyes being taken out of the animals. But I want to go ahead and show you guys well, that closet door and what's on the other side. It's kind of a weird secret, but you know, yeah. In anyways, just going back to the question about the holes and the stars. So the main bulk of information that we have about that specifically comes from one of the developers who sort of laid out what the lore actually is when it comes to that. And yeah, I mean, he explicitly says that that's what it is, basically. That Magnus sort of left, and the other Ada left, and they punched holes in the sky. Now, if you want the book, there's actually one in Elder Scrolls Online. I don't believe that there is one in the original, you know, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim games. It's called Way Shrines, I believe. It's something Way Shrines. What is it called? It's called Way Shrines of Tamriel. And I think we have to go through here, I believe. But in that book, basically, it talks about the fact that what I just mentioned, Magnus had to escape. He punched sort of a hole into Mundus, and that hole just sort of went all the way from Mundus towards Aetherius, and now it is like a funnel, basically. I don't think it's over here. Let me find this real quick before I continue, because I'm about to get lost. This place is kind of huge. I think it's here. It also talks about the fact that basically Oblivion, or rather the void that was left between Mundus and Aetherius, was filled with Oblivion, with the void. And that's why Oblivion is sort of like in between Mundus and Aetherius, basically. But that's it. That's all there is here. It's like a weird secret. You get the key from her only if you get her as a companion, and only if you basically trade with her after she becomes a companion. You can also pickpocket her. That's, I guess, another option that you can do. But yeah, just basically those potions. There's nothing in here. I don't know if this was intended to be something else or whatever. I am not sure, but that's all there is here. And I guess now we can leave. Now, what's interesting is that the book that I'm just talking about, the Way Shrines of Tamriel that you can find in Elder Scrolls Online, it actually talks about why the main character, main character from Elder Scrolls Online, how he can actually teleport using the Way Shrines. It actually explains that the Way Shrines are basically tied up to the stars. So any particular Way Shrine is built in any specific location so that it's tied up to one specific star, or, you know, more specifically, one specific hole in the sky. We know that those holes in the sky lead to Aetherius, which are conduits to the magics of the universe. The reason that we have magic in this world is because of those holes. More specifically, thanks to the big hole, the sun, which is what gives us magic in this universe. And that, theoretically speaking, if a person were to not have its soul tied up to this world, they could use those tunnels to basically teleport through the world, through Mundus. And that's why the main character, I think I already alluded this, right? I didn't actually, oof. And that's why the main character in ESO can actually teleport, basically, because his soul is not tied up to Mundus. It's just one of those things. Now, I have a specific theory. I'm gonna go ahead and cover that in just a bit because I don't want to fast travel out of here. Before I do that, I want to show you guys a little unmarked location, which is also kind of hidden. The only way that you can find this really, you know, naturally through exploration would be basically by finishing the quest Repentance and then finding your way through. See that over there is like, looks like an old Nordic tomb. However, there really isn't a marker for it. It's not an actual location in the game. Is more like one of those things that you can just randomly find through exploration. And in there we're gonna fight a little bit of an enemy. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's kind of nice, honestly, just finding these hidden locations in the world. Don't particularly have anything interesting in them. It's just kind of nice that they exist, I suppose. And we're battle axe. Oh, see, this is what I was worried about. I definitely want to be selling some stuff. I want to keep... Nah, it's fine. Screw it. But yeah, there really isn't anything here. It looks like just a typical troll house. It's a lot of skeletons. This guy has been feeding off of a lot of people and animals, it seems like. The skeletons don't really have anything other than just random amounts of gold. There's a helmet in there that is completely random. Sometimes you get a Stormcloak looking helmet, sometimes you get a Legion looking helmet. It's just always different. And that's about it. It's nothing particularly interesting. It's just cool that it's one of those places you can only find if you sort of do the Repentance quest and you finish on the top side. Now the other thing is that over here, we're gonna get closer. You see that location on the minimap. All the way to the top, there's that sort of triangle looking banner on the minimap. That place also can only be accessed if you finish the quest Repentance and you basically travel through here. You can actually get to it if you see it on the map. We saw it on the last episode. You can travel to it, but only if you sort of glitch your way up the mountain. Basically, if you use a horse or anything like that to get up in here. So I would consider it a little bit of a hidden location, or I would have, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that it does appear in the map and anyone can see it. It's just getting here is a little bit tricky. Now, this place is the Dwarven Ruin. I don't think we'll be able to sneak our way because they're just going to detect us. And this battle is going to be pretty difficult, so we're going to go ahead and quick save. I'm going to also equip my Dawnbreaker, and if possible, I'm going to power off... which one is stronger? Oaken is stronger. I'm going to power this up a little bit. Get a little bit stronger. And use our Frost Atronak here. But yeah, it's just the ruins of a Dwarven dungeon, but it's not actually a place that we can enter. All that you can find in here is merely just the outside. Wait, was it Educh, the one I uploaded? No, it's Oaken. Okay. Hello there, Wismother. Yeah, this battle is pretty difficult. I don't know if we can actually handle it, to be honest, but we'll try. We don't happen to have any frost resistance, do we? We have a worship to fire. Okay. Rip us. We're gonna be healing a lot. I think that was my Atronach's still alive. That's good. Alright. We did it, boys. That was it. We have conquered the ruins. Now, like I said, this place doesn't really lead anywhere. There's no entrance into an actual Dwarven dungeon. It's basically just kind of nice to complete it. You can see that some of the hags, some of the witches from the Darklight Tower were actually making their way here, probably to steal some form of magical energy or, I don't know, just items for their rituals, it seems. Let's go ahead and collect this stuff here. We're getting a lot of sapphires for some reason. It's kind of odd. But yeah, there really doesn't appear to be much in here other than the remains. Though it's nice to just get that cleared status in there. Let's go ahead and quick save. But yeah, what I wanted to show you guys was this. I want to go back to Guardian Stones because this goes back to the shrines. Like I was saying before, we don't really have proof, in-game proof, that these stars are actually holes. What we do know, based on the book that is given to us in Elder Scrolls Online, it tells us that, I mean, those are literally holes. It does say that. But it says that the shrines are specifically built for them to be connected to those holes. And it is thanks to those shrines that basically a human soul gets to go, or an elvish soul or whatever, gets to go into Aetherius. The idea being that when you die, you actually get taken to the closest shrine, and then that shrine basically it sort of shoots you up into the hole. And then that's how you make it to Aetherius. That's how you make it to the afterlife. What's interesting is that there really aren't many shrines in Skyrim, at least not how they look in Oblivion, because in Oblivion they're literally like standing stones. Like they're these big sort of like things. They actually look like mini churches, basically like mini temples. And the Guardian Stones, or really any form of stone here in Skyrim, is just sort of like the Skyrim's version of that. And what's interesting is that they actually have the stars in them. You can see that there's the wizard, there's the thief, there's the warrior. Like these are stars, or rather constellations as we know them. And it's interesting because if you pick any particular stone, you'll see that. And that is hella interesting, because I think this is your proof, Mirza. I think this is your proof that the stones, that the shrines, that they're all connected to the stars, or rather to Aetherius and the magics within. Because we know that we get magic from those holes. We know that those holes basically represent gods. So if you were to ask me, well, this stone here is probably attached to a warrior at Ada, and is basically drawing power from it, and is giving it to you. Then you could also make the argument that there's just a star out there, like an actual, like physical body of a star that is giving you power. But this is all I've got, man, because there really isn't much in-game lore about this, at least not other than this. I don't know. It's just interesting that it actually connects to the stars and you're drawing power from the holes. I think that's interesting. But in any case, I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. Next episode, we're gonna be actually making our way to the village, the orc village, and we're gonna be starting the quest for the Daedric Lord Malekith, which is basically one of the only other Daedric lords that are actually Aedric lords, which is kind of interesting, and we'll probably talk about the lore of Malekith, which is particularly interesting. We're also going to be, finally, upping our difficulty from expert to master, so that should be interesting. But now that we have a companion, I think we should have a considerable easier time sort of playing the game. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I know that a lot of you have been doing that, and I really appreciate it. I really did notice we had a massive spike in Twitter followers after last episode, and I really appreciate it, guys. Keep it coming if you can. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to be working on some more of these lore videos. The next episode should be coming up on Thursday. We're only going to have 2 episodes this week because I'm working on some specifically working on some D&D video, a D&D video that I want to be finishing hopefully by Wednesday, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, see you guys Thursday. Thanks for stopping by.